This is Jay, and I'm real excited to come in and do a biblical dinner for you. I hope that you want to take a look at some of the setup options that we have, and I'll show you right in my own church. This particular arrangement that we have is something that's done in our sanctuary, which is small. It's only a 40 by 40 square foot room up here in our church in the foothills of California. But let me show you what we did, and you'll get an idea of how it will look. Also, the tables aren't set with food yet, nor are they set with the oil lamps, but they're just in the process of being set up, and I can show you how we do it and give you a few of the options. So follow me on this, and I'll show you what it looks like. Now, as we come into the room, the fluorescent lights overhead are not on, and I just wanted to show you how it looks just with our regular lighting. Overhead, we have some small track lights, and we have some can lights in the ceiling. You'll also notice we have the fans going. Even though our air conditioners don't require them, you definitely want to keep the air moving in the room, especially a room this size, because people, well, they'll use up the air very quickly. And with the arrangement that you see here in this room, we will actually put up to 80 people seating in this room tonight, depending on, really in the end, how many actually come in. But let me turn on the fluorescence and I'll show you some of your options and what we do. First of all, here in the center of the room is the place where I work. When I'm able to drive to your facility, I actually bring all of this with me, these Persian rugs, which are real Persian rugs. It's okay for the servants to walk on them. There's really no way to damage them because they're extremely well made, but I encourage people not to. And part of my safety instructions that I give is just try not to let the servants walk on them because they might trip over them. I even have things hidden underneath them in places. Here up on the stage, and this is kind of convenient to have a stage here, not every place does, and that's okay, but on the stage, I have the main triclinium that I'm going to be working off of when I'm demonstrating and pointing to people and showing how things work. It's a little higher than the others, but you can see high. Well, it's actually quite low to the ground. In fact, it's a little more than, probably 14 or 15 inches off the ground. How did we achieve this? Well, it's in your instruction packet, but let me show you what we did here. First of all, you can see we have a paper tablecloth here that we bought at Costco or Walmart or someplace, but they're just cheap disposable tablecloths, and it actually saves with the laundering. Underneath, simple ABS plastic tables with the legs folded up underneath, and they're sitting on top of banana boxes, just fruit boxes that were borrowed from a local grocery store. And we set them up on this, and because the plastic slides on plastic and kind of knocks around if you have to put it on cinder blocks, putting it on cardboard makes it less slippery, so the table tends to be very sturdy and stable. Well, these are table runners that we put on top of the tables, and if I'm flying in, I can bring a certain amount of table runners, usually enough for about 6 or 7 tables. But you may have to come up with some others or just go without them. The people wouldn't know one way or the other, and they're going to enjoy the meal. Over here, we have a full height table, as well as another full height table there, a small one, and a full height table over here. And these especially are for the people who have a very hard time sitting on the floor. Perhaps your elderly people that come to the church, or even some handicapped people, or just people with bad backs. Needless to say, it's a great opportunity for them to experience the shape of the table because really the lessons come in that shape. And here we have chairs around the table, and there are 12 chairs around this particular triclinium. Now, being at a full height, it's not entirely authentic, but that's okay because they're going to get the right idea. If you need more seating because you have too many people show up, on this particular table you have some options. I'm going to point right over here. You can put people at the corners over here or up here on the end caps. Or if you really have a lot of extra people, all you have to do is set a chair here and over here. Here's another end cap and in that corner, and suddenly you've expanded it. The people might seem crowded, and they might actually feel that way, but in ancient times, people loved to be very close to each other, and that'll work great. We don't encourage you to put seating in the middle of the U of the table because the oil lamps, when they're set up, are going to be real close to the center of that. We don't want people getting too close to the flames. The oil in the oil lamps, just so that you'll know, that's olive oil. If an oil lamp gets bumped or spilled, the flame goes out. The only danger with these lamps is the same as if you had a candle in the room, if somebody set something flammable on it or near it. So we're very cautious about that. When you set up for your biblical dinner, and I bring my oil lamps, I'll need to set them on a ceramic plate, perhaps saucers or little salad plates. If you have to, even a full-size plate, as long as it's ceramic, because these little wicks in there can throw sparks, and that creates a fire hazard, and we just don't want to have a problem. We never have, and we never want to. Now, why do we have this little table over here? Very simply because it fits. No, it's not a good illustration of what the Last Supper table looked like unless you actually put 2 or 3 of these together, and then it looks like Leonardo da Vinci's painting, and then that's fun because it becomes a good example of a bad example, and we can, in a fun way, pick on those people the rest of the night, and they'll get a good laugh out of it as well as everyone else. But this little table here is just set here because we needed the seating and we had the room. So we set up a small table right over there. This is our sound booth over here. We don't know if you have one of those or not, but at the sound booth, we can play recorded music during the course of the entire dinner, very, very low and quiet in the background, so that it actually fills the atmosphere with music that's done by a particular group out of Texas that researched what ancient music at the time of Jesus around the temple may have sounded like. Nobody's really sure, but they came up with a real good estimate of what it sounds like, and we can play that in the background, as well as I also have a microphone rig. Now, if you don't have one, you let me know, and I'll bring mine if I need one. And it goes over my ear, and it plugs right into your PA system. I have patch cords for that, and I know how to make it work if you need help. So this is the way we set up our room for our biblical dinner. There's another table back there for people to sit around who can't sit on the floor, just a small one. Here's a low-to-the-ground table here. Extra chairs in the back of the room. You can see them stacked up right there against the wall in case the people who are sitting on the floor around these tables get tired of sitting on the floor. And we did ask people to bring cushions so that they would be more comfortable. But still, this presentation goes for somewhere around 2 hours and 40 to 45 minutes in length with a break in the middle. But still, people can get real tired of sitting on the floor because we're not built to do that anymore. So this is the way the room looks. In a little bit, I'm going to take another video when we have all the food out on the table, and you'll get a better idea of how it looks just before we're ready to set up. And then we'll light the lamps. We'll take one more picture of it for you, and you can see what it looks like with the full atmosphere happening. Again, these are suggestions. The shape of the table is really important. Having at least one table in the room that's that height, that is really important, because then people can see exactly what the Last Supper table looked like and how it really functioned with the seating around it. Other than that, if you have a more elderly group of people or people with just lots of bad backs, you can fill the room with these elevated tables and people will be much more comfortable. Well, God bless you, and I'll get back with you in the next video.